Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Eric Naleen. Once again, right after Texas practice, the second of preseason camp, we got our takeaways, our notes, a little bit shorter than yesterday. We got like 45 minutes the other day. We have about 10 to 15 today. But we still have takeaways. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you are here on podcast, go ahead and give us a listen. Thank you, and give us a 5-star rating and review as well. Let's go ahead and talk about what we saw, and a lot of it was special teams. Got to see the returners, got to see punt. We talked about Michael Kern and Charlie Ferris yesterday. Didn't see a lot from them, but we kind of have an understanding of what the returners look like and the skill talent they have and are willing to deploy like they did Xavier Worthy last year and putting some of their best players at returner. We saw that with the foursome back there today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a short practice. I think we went in going, hey, how much time are we going to get? I love the shorter practice. Joe, you know I love the shorter practice. The reason being is it prioritizes our information, because we like closed practice because we have all the information after the practice is closed. All right, so going back to special teams, you know, Silas Bolden looks very, very, very natural back there. I've always been a big Jonte Cook fan as far as returning punts, but Silas Bolden, I mean, that's his job to lose. It's going to be his. Cook is there. Bond is there. Isaiah Bond is there, and then Matthew Golden, who's going to return kicks. It's a depth. All those guys can house a punt. All of those guys can house a punt. They were emphasizing blocking for those guys because I think the coaches already know what those guys can do. I saw one rep where it was semi-live. Bond would have had probably 30, 40-yard return at least, maybe to the house.
One of the things that we always get to see with Jeff Banks, if you watch a Texas game, the smallest details, he'll get up and pumped up for the smallest details. He does that here with the punt unit. He does that, and I think that just speaks overall to how much they emphasize special teams. They start practice with, you know, they do a little bit of offensive 11 on 11, kind of half-ass to say, but then they go straight into special teams, and they do not half-ass that at all.
Banks is my favorite coach. I don't know Banks, never talked to Banks. I don't know anything. You know, it's just his energy, how detail-oriented he is. He is 100 miles an hour. And, you know, I've had the privilege of actually hearing him in a special teams meeting, like a real meeting, and it's 100 miles an hour, building them up, tearing them down. I think he talks so fast the players don't know what's happening. What, you know, is he building me up? Is he killing me? What's going on here? And it's just the way he is. He's very detail-oriented. He goes in extremely prepared. And I go back to a friend of mine that coached with him at A&M. And he said, that guy comes up with special team stuff nobody's ever seen in their life. He's scheming. He schemes special teams like Stark schemes offense, like PK schemes defense. He schemes it. He's not just going out there going through the motions.
Last thing, I know at coaching clinics, I know people who have been in those talks, and they say, Banks gets up there and goes, y'all don't want to hear any of this, so I'm going to go right into this. Puts up slide one and gets into it.
Yeah, no, I love Banks. I love him.
Speaking of, you got to watch a player that Steve Sarkisian praised yesterday as someone who has transformed his body. We talked about him a little bit earlier today on our live stream. That's Jasper's Anthony Smith. You saw Tashard Choice really not lay into him, but give him a lot of praise for doing a lot of good work, and that just speaks to some of the great things we've heard about Anthony over the course of the summer and now here in the first 2 days of camp.
Yeah, every bit as much as the coach would lay into a player, that's how loud and vocal Choice was with praise for Anthony Smith. And, you know, he's a guy that we've talked about already. In June, one of our offseason reports was, you know, who could be a true freshman difference maker on special teams. Our source named both running backs, Jordan Johnson-Bell, the safety from IMG, originally from Fort Worth, and then, of course, Anthony. And, you know, Anthony's put on a lot of weight. So, you know, do you want to be a good special teams player? It's really up to you. It's kind of like life. It's showing up. Run down the field fast, be smart, stay in your lane, and then be aggressive and physical. And he has all that. And that usually tells you something about how good they're going to be as a player. Playing linebacker obviously has a lot of the same attributes as long as you can process. I'll never forget Kenny Vaccaro as a true freshman on special teams. You saw him run down like a demon. You just knew that guy was going to be good. I think Anthony Smith has the same elements.
We've seen a lot of players make their kind of introduce themselves on special teams. Trey Wisner did it a bunch last year before Jaron Thompson earned a starting spot and, of course, transferred to Auburn. He and Keaton Crawford, again, they made a lot of waves on special teams. And Jahdae Barron, I remember that COVID Texas Tech game. scored a touchdown on special teams, and now he is a indispensable player.
I'm impressed. You're paying attention up in that press box. Yeah, you have some good pulls. Those guys were absolutely good, true freshmen, special teams players that earn their mark and reputation, because it tells you it's going to select for you for the defensive coaches. Do you want to run down and hit people? Okay, you can check that box off. Jaron Thompson, of course, was good at that. King Crawford is probably going to get an NFL payday, maybe through practice squad, whatever, because he can run down and hit people. So good call, good memory. I like that. I can
keep going. Chris Boyd, Jelani McDonald last year.
Chris Boyd, ultimate warrior, running down the field like the ultimate warrior.
One of the few bright spots in South Bend, but a bright spot here in the Central Texas area. That's Laura Baker, part of the elite Andy Allen team over with the Keller Williams Realty Group. Give her a call at 512-784-0505. We're at the Posse East. She can probably get you a house right down the street up there on Duval Road. She can get you a house in Georgetown, New Braunfels, Mason, LaGrange, anywhere in the Central Texas area. She helped our Ian Boyd move into the home that brought his family from Michigan all the way down to Austin. So make sure you give Laura Baker a call, a Longhorn, a longtime friend of Inside Texas, and a longtime friend of UT. 512-784-0505 for Laura Baker. Keep on going. Got to talk a little bit about defensive tackles. We did not see a ton today, as we mentioned. So, again, head to InsideTexas.com. We got full practice reports there, sourced information you're not going to want to miss. But I got to watch how Kenny Baker operated. And I was trying to think a little bit about how maybe Bo Davis did things last year. But sometimes defensive tackle play is defensive tackle play. Can you stay low, which they worked on today a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Can you stay in your gaps?
Leverage.
And can you leverage? Not swim moves. There was a lot of push, look, and rip. It's just some of the fundamental things that I think you see with a coach maybe trying to get some of his footing with his players, but also building trust and saying, like, look, I'm going to teach you how to do the little things right. Sometimes it's going to take talent to do some of the spectacular things. Yeah. You saw that last year. They've got some of the players to do it, but the little things have to get done first, and we saw Kenny Baker do that a lot today.
Yeah, what you're talking about, and I witnessed it yesterday, is a two-gap technique. And so I do think that we're going to see a little bit more two-gapping. I think we might see some three defensive lineman fronts this year. That'll get Joe's cockles up and running. I do think there's going to be a little bit more two-gapping this season, and that's exactly what they're trying to do, man. Stack the guys, shed them, find the ball carrier, and get after it. We will see a little bit more three-man defensive linemen than we've seen in the past, I do believe. That's exactly what they're trying to do. But, in any event, that drill works no matter what, because you still got to get the guy off you. Can you shed a block? Then you're a defensive lineman. If you can't shed a block, you're an offensive lineman.
We talk a lot about with Steve Sarkisian, and he mentions this all the time. Can you do a lot of things really well for opponents and make it difficult? Defense can be the same thing.
Right.
We understand that PK's got his 2-4-5 system.
Right.
When they get into go against heavy personnel offenses, they kind of get into 3-4s. We can see a lot of different stuff with the personnel that they have. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do, especially with players like, you have Vernon Broughton, you have Alfred Collins. They're great fits for this scheme. They have their weaknesses. Every player does.
Yeah.
But you have guys like Jermaine Willay, Tia Savea, Bill Norton, even Aaron Bryant, Jere Bledsoe can fit into a lot of different defensive, philosophies when thinking about what the Longhorns are going to deploy. Finally, there's some true freshmen to talk about. A lot of these guys enrolled early, so this is not their first practice, and that applies to all the guys that we are about to talk about. And surprising for the Arizona kid and Christian Clark, because you can't really enroll early from Arizona due to some varying state laws. But there are 4 true freshmen that you have heard and you saw today have had some really good returns.
I think Clark actually was early.
He was. It's just tough from Arizona.
Yeah, he might have been the first guy. I don't know whose palm they greased over there in probably Maricopa County. I don't know how that worked out. But, yeah, he's on campus. So, these guys are, when you hear about running backs ready to make a mark on special teams, you think about Keelan Robinson, you think about Trey Weissner. That's what you want to see. If the effort is there, and it requires effort and wants you on special teams, and they already have the natural traits to be a running back, feet balance, vision, lateral agility, all those things, then there's nothing else to worry about. There's no projection with these guys. If the want to is there, they're going to be good. And I think that's clearly there with Christian Clark and Jarrett Gibson. And then Anthony, we talked about him. Then Jordan Johnson-Rebel. I think Jordan Johnson-Rebel has field general abilities, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a mark in special teams this year. He's still got to go earn it because everybody else is trying to do the same thing.
One of the things that you think about all these guys, at least as they are right now, 6 foot-ish, maybe 5'11", maybe 5'10", but not short, and they're all probably about like 190. Like those are guys, if you have Will Stone or even, one of the punters, Michael Kern or Charlie Ferris back there, and then everybody else is about 6 foot, 190 flying down the field. That's a lot of really good guys, really great athletes. They're making impacts because we can see what happens if you go the opposite way. BYU learned pretty quickly last year. If you have offensive linemen on the field, Xavier Worthy's going to run past them. I could run past them maybe.
There have been so many hilarious punt return touchdowns where everybody's like falling in behind, running a huge arc, and they have no chance. No, you need speed on there. So you supplement the size with physicality and want to, and just being a badass, a general badass. And competition feeds that. And so, no, you don't want a bunch of fat guys out there. You want a bunch of athletic guys that can go out there and make a tackle. That's the question with running backs on special teams. Can they tackle? They're used to breaking tackles. And that's what they're going to work through in August. But they've got the bodies and the athletes that field a really, really good coverage teams.
Just over 10 minutes to talk. We're going to have a lot of information over on InsideTexas.com. So head there, join up. You're going to get all the best insider information. Again, we got team info. The month of August is going to be filled with recruiting decisions. You're going to want to track Michael Susi, Michael Terry, even Jamie French, Khalid Lockett, stuff like that.
5-star August.
You're not going to want to miss out on that. We got the team info. So head to InsideTexas.com. Sign up today. You're not going to want to miss it, not only just this month, but in the months to come as Texas makes a playoff push. Also, like this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. If you're on podcast, give us a 5-star rating and review. We'll be back. Let's see. When is the next time we'll be back? We'll have a Friday Inside the Program tomorrow morning, Saturday Roundtable. We'll see what happens. We have one more viewing window tomorrow night. I'll be there. I think a few more from Inside Texas.
We don't want viewing windows. We want closed practices.
Gives you all the information over on InsideTexas.com, so that's the place to be. Thank you to Laura Baker. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.